Welcome back, and I just finished watching episodes 4, 5, and 6 of Married at First Sight season 20. And my official take after watching it is maybe Seattle is the new capital of delusion, because I don't think these couples are understanding what's going on. Some people get it, some people don't. We're basically watching this honeymoon phase delve into what I can only describe as a psychological thriller. We have Nick over here acting like he's at a casting audition. We're having emergency interventions from the new experts already. And then we have a man who is picking up a steak and eating it with his bare hands. I can only describe him, Adam, as a straight up caveman. But stick around for a few minutes because we're going to dissect while at least one husband's communication style is pretty suffocating and it's almost toxic. When you sit back and look at it, it almost feels like a hostage negotiation in certain situations. But the stakes for decision day have never been lower. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's talk about Nick and Courtney. And if you look closely at Courtney's eyes, you can really see everything that's truly going on there. And I guess we don't have to look that far because she almost tells us everything that's going on because she just rattles everything off and off and off. But the one thing that I see in her eyes is she is plotting an escape plan. And I'm honestly not sure why, other than the fact that Nick is extremely boring. I'm not sure how he ever got casted on TV because he's not very entertaining. Or maybe it's just a mask that he puts on, speaking of his reality TV face, to get into character. But apparently he's not always in the character until the experts talk to him at least. But when he's interacting with Courtney, he's pretty dry and boring. And Courtney has every right to be repulsed by that, especially for somebody in the last few years who's been living on TV. And the fact that it makes herself feel like if she's just in a room with him by herself for too much longer, that she's just going to blow her head off is insane. In my opinion, their disconnect is pretty damn obvious. And Dr. Lisa, no matter what advice she gives, I don't think is really going to help. And I don't think their entire problem is heated flirtation or whatever the term that Nick used. I think their entire problem is they're just not compatible. Looking at Courtney and her personality type, it seems like she was probably coming to the experiment hoping to get somebody a little bit more like Adam. But she got Nick instead. But at the end of the day, this couple doesn't have too much going on and their compatibility is pretty low as well. And if I had to rate it, it would probably be a 2 out of 10 because they're not going to make it. And it's sad to say that because everybody does deserve love, but these two are just not compatible and the matchmakers just did a bad job in this scenario. And I'm just not sure why they casted Nick, but maybe they just thought that this was a love thing. But in my opinion, Nick is probably auditioning for maybe Trader season 4 for the celebrities, not the one with the civilians. So Nick probably has his eyes on a different prize, and it's not Courtney. Now on to Adam and Marissa, or what the internet would like to call him, the Tin Man, because this is probably our easiest couple to dissect because they're operating off of straight surface level, empty calorie vibes. We all know that they met a couple of years ago, and that's clearly helping with their chemistry and the comfortability level. But it also explains why the little bit it does happen, Marissa is taking on 100% of all the emotional labor in this couple. And I think it's going to be extremely hard for her to fix a man, especially when his entire family is boycotting his own wedding and everything after it, because I doubt we ever see Adam's family. But the most interesting thing that happened with this couple in this episode is the fact that Adam went into the pool with tube socks on. And I'm sure we all agree that that is freaking disgusting. And why would you get into a pool or any body of water with socks on? Talking about they're my swim socks. Bro, they make swim shoes, so why not go purchase a pair of those? Like, you got into a swimming pool with socks on, you're definitely going to have a foot fungus or trench foot. And then even when he got out of the water, he was still walking around in these soaking wet socks. It's just disgusting. And then it doesn't even end there, because to top it off, when him and Marissa are sitting at dinner, he picks up his steak and bare hands it and just bites into it just like a straight up caveman or like a walker in The Walking Dead. And then he even feeds it to her, and she reluctantly takes a bite, and I'm not sure I would have ate from somebody's bare hand that I barely know. I don't think I would eat from anybody's bare hand, period, especially not a steak. But maybe that's just me. You guys let me know what you think about that down in the comments. Would you eat a steak barehanded or eat a steak from somebody barehanded? You guys tell me what you would do. But as far as the compatibility here, I would say 4 out of 10. They probably make it through decision day and then get divorced afterwards, because I personally don't see this couple signing their papers. But I could be wrong. And against all odds, we actually have at least 2 functioning adults in this experiment, which are Cameron and Michelle. And there isn't a bunch of interesting things happening in their couple. They're actually pretty stable, and they have really mature conversations about their lives, their future, what it would look like together. And I think that's kind of where the only problem that they could potentially have is going to rise. Because I don't think Cameron has totally bought into the idea of moving to Seattle. And if you missed it, he lives in Portland. And I guess for the show, he's trying to placate it like he's getting ready to move to Seattle. But it doesn't sound like it's something that he wants to do, because he has everything and everything that he knows in Portland. And it seems that this drive up I-5 to Seattle is going to be the main thing or the main source of conflict in this relationship. If he chooses to drag it out, because he doesn't really have to, he could just move to Seattle where his wife is, or he could have a conversation with her. Maybe she moves to Portland, but she thinks family is very important. So I understand all of that. So I think it's going to come down to him making a decision. But the way Cameron tried to talk through moving from Portland to Seattle, like it requires traversing through the multiverse, tells me a lot about how he feels about it. And while I think this couple is pretty compatible, maybe on a scale of 8 out of 10, I do see that one problem being the only thing that could derail this entire thing for them. So now let's talk about Sean and Nikki. Nikki is a woman who openly admitted to all of us that she's not attracted to her husband. And Sean is a man who treats that lack of attraction like every single conversation has to be some type of debate or like they're in court. He also wants to prove to himself at least that he's the spiritual leader of the household, but he's also the very same person who threw a tantrum because he couldn't dictate the terms and the time frame of physical intimacy. And then let's talk about the hygiene of it all, because while Nikki has a full-blown routine, it seems as though Sean's routine is a little bit relaxed. And there's nothing wrong with that. Maybe he does more in the mornings. Maybe at night, he just likes to dab himself up with a towel, make sure that he's dry and clean, and, jump in bed. To each their own. But hold up, cut the music for a second, because we need to talk about the experts. Because the matchmaking here is a war crime. Paul and Lisa paired these two together knowing that they were either going to be explosively good or explosively bad. And I'm not sure why they thought it was a good idea to pair a highly independent and confident woman with a man who has a fragile ego. And as we see in every single conversation, his ego shows because he wants to win every single debate or argument that they have. Fragile ego. And it makes me think that Sean doesn't even really want a wife. He wants a submissive debate partner. And I think that's how he cures all the insecurities that he may have about himself. And I say that because, like you, I have seen everything that people have been saying about him online. I'm not sure if it's true or not. I don't really care. But what I see in this show is a person that has a very fragile ego no matter what their preference is. And that person is not ready for the person that is in front of them. And Nikki, honestly, probably should run for the hills, because this cannot get any better. Because the experts told us explosively good, explosively bad. And we know which way they are leaning currently. So y'all drop a comment, let me know what you think about that, because we all know the experts did a literally bang up job in this situation. And I'm not sure why they put these two together other than for our entertainment, and maybe for theirs as well, because it seems like every single conversation that they show us at least is all about intimacy and physical intimacy. And I don't want to be kissed in this type of situation and no pity party and all of that stuff. And 0 out of 10. They are no higher than a 0 out of 10, not even a 1. This couple is done. And we all know it. We're just waiting for it to implode, because the experts told us it was going to happen, one, and we can all see it's going to happen very, very soon, probably. And while we're on the subject of people leaving somebody, let's talk about Felipe and Tori. Because while I thought something different last week, these two are definitely a wild card. I thought maybe Felipe was just a wild card, but no, both of these people are a wild card. Now, they did a really good job navigating their differences about religion. He's an atheist, she's a Christian. And going back to the experts again, I'm not sure why they would put these two people together. Maybe they just based off of personality and what the other person wanted. But I just think when you are doing matchmaking, religion, politics, those type of things are going to be important long term. Maybe in the short term and just for a TV show experiment, it's not that important. But long term, if you truly wanted these relationships to work out, I don't think you should have matched these two people, because that is going to be a point of contention in the future. I almost guarantee it. Maybe I'm wrong, but you guys let me know what you think about that. Is that a point of contention, or am I just blowing the situation out of proportion? And then other reasons that either one of them could leave each other. Tori has already told us that she has trust issues. She's been cheated on before. And Felipe, while good on him for being honest, maybe this wasn't the right situation for you to be so honest and tell her, you know what? I've cheated before. And it's not the fact that he said that he cheated before, because that part was nice. The part where he tried to bullshit her and everybody else, when he said, but I blocked it out of my mind and I forgot about it. Right. Very believable. You cheated on somebody that you were with long term, and you just forgot about it because you were just so ashamed of yourself. I'm sure it happens all the time. But all of that aside, they finally decided to cross the threshold of physical intimacy. And after they do, who do we see walking out of the bedroom with pillows in their arm? Tori. She said she was suffocating. This was too much for her at the time. You just had sex with a person, but sleeping with them afterwards is a little bit too much, and you feel like you're suffocating and just need to breathe. Okay. You guys tell me what you think about that, because I don't think there's anything more I need to say about it, because I think we are seeing eye to eye on that. And what else is there to say about their couple other than the fact that they are a perfect coin toss, who knows which way it's going to go. And we could literally probably flip a coin and just take a guess, because will we be wrong? This couple, Tori and Felipe, are definitely 50-50. I don't know if they make it or don't. We'll see how it goes. They have potential, but they also have the potential not to make it as well. So we shall see. And then on to Devin and Caitlyn, because this is another interesting one. And I definitely want to get you guys' opinions on this one, because Devin claims his love language is physical touch. Cool. Caitlyn, on the other hand, love language appears to be being left completely alone. Caitlyn also explicitly told him that she gives off black cat energy and he gives off golden retriever. Devin is clearly suffocating and suffering at the same time from the lack of attention that he's receiving. He said as much, obviously. He clearly needs some validation, and he needs validation to the point where he has started to get offended that he's not getting this validation. And while I understand the point that he was trying to make about she went to the gym, we were supposed to go together, you don't have to spend every waking moment with a person, no matter how you met this person. And all Caitlyn pretty much wanted was a little bit of time of unshared oxygen. Now, Caitlyn is participating in what I would currently call artificial compliance, because he complained about, wanting back rubs and things like that. I think that she thinks rubbing some sunscreen on his back is going to cover her entire quota for the month. And this man needs more than that. And Devin is even more miserable because she won't make eye contact. She won't sit back and look at him like he's some type of prince and she's a Disney princess. And Caitlyn, on the other hand, is miserable because Devin won't stop looking at her. Weird couple. And all that says to me is that this slow burn is about to flame out. Not compatible at all. Maybe they could be if they actually explore each other, but Caitlyn doesn't seem very interested, while she tells Dr. Lisa that, yeah, I'm very attracted to him. Doesn't really come off like it. Not sure how you handle attraction, but it's only been a few days. I think 6 days to be exact. And, maybe she does just need a little bit more time. She'll become more comfortable. I doubt it, but we shall see. And then let's talk about Mecca and BelleJolie, because this couple I thought was damn near perfect. And even their interactions in these episodes was pretty nice. And there's not a lot to say in a negative way about them. And I really hope they make it in the future, because I do like seeing them together. But while I thought initially that Mecca's father may be a problem, it appears that Mecca himself may be the actual problem, because while I said in the last episode, Mecca talks a lot, it seems in this episode, Mecca may have talked himself into a hole by trying to compare how attracted the other one is to another, and to tell Belle that you think that she likes you 150% and you're at 80. I didn't even need to hear anything that she had to say to know that that was a bad thing to say. That was the dumbest remark and comment that you could make at all. If anything, you should have said 190, and that was still going to be bad for you. There was no way that you could have said anything more than 50-50, or that you like her more, that was going to work out in this situation. And she wants to pull back. And while you see her in the kitchen when they're talking, and while he's making salmon, and she seems like she wants to be more involved with him, she's putting it all on him now because of his stupid comments. And to think, just a few days before this, she had just told him or gave him permission to initiate physical contact and, intimacy with her, and to blow it up potentially in this situation just because you think that she's more attracted to you or she likes you more. It's just stupid. The one thing I could say about this couple is their compatibility confuses me, because while I think they can be very compatible, it's starting to feel like at times they may actually get stuck in the friend zone. Now, we will see how all that plays out in the coming episodes, but I would like to see them work out as an actual couple. I do see a world where maybe one of them starts looking at the other as more of a friend, and that's potentially how this relationship would come to an end. I hope it doesn't, because I really do like seeing them together, but it's just a little confusing on which direction this couple is going to go. And neither direction is a negative, so to say. It's always nice to find a good friend. And I'm sure it would be better to have that person as a partner. But in this situation, in this experiment, I just don't know which way they're going to go. You guys tell me what you think. You think it's going to go friend zone, or you think they'll actually drop the friend zone area and they'll move into more of a romantic couple? But when we zoom out and look at the carnage, I'll call it, of week 2, I only really see 2 couples that could make it. That's Mecca and Belle, and Cameron and Michelle. And while I did say earlier, I do see Adam and Marissa maybe making it through decision day, I don't think long-term that they'll actually stay together. And the one detractor I would put on Cameron and Michelle is, like I stated earlier, does he want to move up I-5 to Seattle? Because if he does, they'll probably be fine. If he doesn't, or pushes back on a little bit, we're probably going to see some problems. As for the rest, I didn't state that I think they would be together. So I think that lets you know where I stand on them. And I do think we will see some of these couples end a little bit quicker than others. I didn't think Nikki and Sean would make it past the honeymoon, but they did. Good on them. Will they make it through episode 7, 8, 9? We shall see. There seems to be an explosive dinner on the horizon, and I don't know who's talking back to who and who is asking who about had they thought about calling it quits. So we'll see how all that shakes out. And that seems to be a little bit more interesting than what we got here. But with all that being said, who do you think is the best and worst couple of Married at First Sight season 20 so far? Drop your names down in the comments. Let me know your choice. And we are also pushing very, very hard for that 2,000 subscriber goal. So if you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe. I truly appreciate it. And don't forget to hype this video as well. I really appreciate that too. Please get us out to more people and let's build this community more. And I appreciate you coming by for the rants, the live streams, the videos, and I hope you keep coming back for more. But I will see you all when the next episodes drop. Make sure you keep your standards high, and I will see you then. Goodbye.